Despite its neutral and peaceful image, Switzerland has a strong military tradition. It has Europe's highest per capita rate of gun ownership, and every male citizen under 50 years old is a reserve soldier. But many question why a country that hasn't been seriously involved in any military conflict for 200 years should have an army at all. Tessa Arcilia has more.
Training for combat, preparing for war. Except these soldiers are from neutral Switzerland and are unlikely to ever experience wartime combat. More and more, the centuries-old Swiss militia is being challenged. In February, the long-standing tradition of keeping a government-issued weapon at home as part of military obligations will be put to a vote on whether they should go on keeping their guns at home or store them in public arsenals. But that's just one of the arguments. Local activists like Christophe Barbet has been pushing for a complete abolition of the armed forces.
There's no more Cold War. We're totally surrounded by the European Union, which is, militarily speaking, totally friendly. So we have no more enemy. So the army has no reason of being, no enemy, just the tradition.
Do you think that Switzerland should have an army?
What for? No, certainly not. It's a joke. Yeah, it makes fun, you know, just to play a bit war games, but we don't need it there.
A 1989 referendum on the issue revealed that more than a third of the Swiss are in favor of dissolution, a figure significant enough to pressure the government to take some action to rein in military activity. The size of the army and its budget, while still a substantial $4.5 billion, have been cut, and the option of joining the civil service instead was introduced.
It's not enough. There is a political clout, which means that the parliament is made a lot of rich people. And rich people want an army. Because they feel insecure.
There's still about 200,000 army personnel, with compulsory military service for Swiss males and private gun ownership for all conscripts. Living up to a local saying, Switzerland does not have an army, it is an army. Not a pleasant prospect for young draftees like Adrian Feller, who just don't see the point.
I just learned to shoot, and this was more or less all I learned. In my opinion, an army just gives some kind of false security. You feel safe, but, well, I saw what the army can do, and they can't do anything against terrorism. They can't do anything against the social problems and disorder. So why should we lose every year about 5 billion of Swiss francs for something that didn't help us solving the problems we have?
The arguments are there, yet the Swiss majority still cannot imagine a nation without their men in uniform.
Only the political left support abolition. We're still a minority in this country. It's hard to convince the population because it's really a tradition that is deeply rooted in the Swiss psyche. Plus, there's the rise of populism and demagogy. It worries me.
Many Swiss feel that abolishing the armed forces is akin to letting go of a tradition, of losing that sense of security, real or imagined. So does a neutral country with no enemies really need an army? While support for abolition is elusive, the question has been asked, and the debate is bound to continue. Tessa Arcilia, RT, Switzerland.